And showtime. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the latest episode of the ChannelPro 5-Minute Roundup. A look at news, trends, and tips for the SMB channel in 5 minutes or thereabouts. My name is Rich Freeman. I am executive editor of the ChannelPro Network and one of your hosts on this program. With me is my co-host, Erick Simpson, a business transformation and improvement consultant for MSPs and other IT providers. Erick, how's it going?
It's going warm today, Rich. Temperatures are rising. It is summertime.
You know what? Same story. I'm at home here in Seattle this week. It's the exact same story. All up and down the West Coast, the temperatures are rising, except here in Seattle, nobody has air conditioning. So we just melt when it gets hot like this.
Well, that just means you save thousands of dollars every season then.
On the bright side, yeah. You know, what's a little discomfort against saving thousands of dollars? It's a good point. Well, you know what? I've got a hot story for us to dive into this week. And ordinarily in this segment, we would focus on a news story. This is a little bit different than that. So if you watched the previous episode of the 5-Minute Roundup, you know that last week I was in Buffalo attending an Ingram Micro event, the annual meeting of their SMB Alliance community. I came home from that and I wrote a story based on some interviews I did with Ingram executives about some of the resources, some of the many, many resources that Ingram Micro offers to its partners that partners barely ever take advantage of. And this is not something that's specific to Ingram. It happened to come up because I was at an Ingram event, but I have the same conversation with executives from other distributors all the time. There are all sorts of things that they can do for their partners that partners either don't know are available to them or just never take advantage of. It's kind of a frustrating phenomenon for the distributors, and they do their best to get the word out about some of these resources, and then they watch nobody, maybe read the emails or understand that these things are available. So I put a story up earlier in the week where I just highlighted 6 of these resources that Ingram offers that are completely underutilized. I'll highlight just a couple of them here. So one, for example, if you are pursuing an opportunity with a customer and they've got some questions about some technology included in the deal that maybe you are not completely confident about or conversant in, you can get an Ingram Micro subject matter expert on the phone with you to participate in this call. If you want them to, they will pretend, they will white label their presence there basically and position themselves as a member of your team. The advantage to you, aside from the fact that if the customer has questions you can answer, there's somebody on the line who can answer them. The advantage to you is this Ingram Micro person is going to know some of the questions to ask to look for the right solution, the right technologies, maybe cross-sell and upsell opportunities. According to Ingram, when partners take advantage of this capability, the average deal size goes up about 25%. And yet only about 5% of their partners ever do this. Again, like I said, a little frustrating to them. Ingram has a financing program. Here's another one. They call it Direct Express Complete. And essentially what this does, folks, is allow you to enjoy unlimited credit. So in essence, what's happening is Ingram is loaning money directly to your end user so that they can go out and finance the purchase of some new technology. Because the loan is going from Ingram to your customer, and again, this is white labeled as far as the customer knows, this is financing they've gotten through you, but because the financing is going straight from Ingram to the customer, it doesn't count against your credit limit. So essentially, you have unlimited credit capacity. As long as the customer qualifies for the financing, you can do this as many times as you need to and not have to worry about your credit cap with Ingram. They have all sorts of other creative financing offerings that we talk about in the article here. There's a tool that they introduced late last year called RenewView that automatically tracks all of your software subscriptions and sends you notifications when they're due for renewal. I could go on. There are a lot of resources like this. The distributors are trying to tell you about this stuff all the time, but you've got to kind of pay attention to what they're telling you. You're just not going to know that this is out there. And a lot of this stuff, it's either free or very cheap, and it really can help you grow your business.
Well, I tell you what, Rich, it just reminds me of all the things that I've forgotten to mention on, all of our tips of the week. And as long as we've been doing the 5-Minute Roundup, I mean, these are things that I used to do in my MSP practice. I mean, engage with my vendor partners, solution architects and sales engineers to help craft these solutions. I mean, almost every solution that we ever delivered, I would call in subject matter experts from the different vendors to put this stuff together. Holy cow, if I'd have known that Ingram had that as well, we were an Ingram partner. I think we did utilize, one or two of those, but I had my set of go-to specialists at all my vendors. But that just goes to show that, these are things that, we would do on the regular that maybe we're not, expressing enough to providers today. Another example is, financing. Holy cow. I mean, we took such advantage of Microsoft's financing program back in the day. My go-to was always let the client determine how they want to pay us, give them an opportunity to, pay it all themselves, give them an opportunity to pay up front and take a little bit of, give them a little discount, let them finance it, let them phase it over phases of the project. I mean, the more options you give someone in how they can pay you, the better off you are. And I love Ingram, positioning this as a unlimited credit kind of an approach, right? They're really just providing financing to your end users. But boy, when you hear unlimited credit, doesn't that sound sexy? I mean, that's got to make MSPs and IT providers kind of perk up and go, what? Tell me about that, right? So yeah, it's seldom that the partners know everything that their vendors provide them, just like our customers as MSPs seldom know everything that we deliver. So it's one of those situations, right? But I mean, it's a great article, and I really encourage readers to go through it, because I was just, it blew me away. It's like, wow, all these things are available, but 5% of partners are taking advantage of them. And that really aligns with, what we hear about MDF every year, right, Rich? I mean, billions of dollars or whatever the number is of MDF goes back because nobody's asking for it. Wow. If everybody grew up, in New York like I did, they would have learned, don't ask, don't get.
Absolutely. And in fact, I mean, this ties right into your tip of the week.
It does. It does. And, your article kind of spurred the tip of the week, specifically for today's 5-minute roundup. And it's all about taking the lead position with your vendors. I mean, going back to that don't ask, don't get philosophy. I mean, I've worked with vendors directly myself and on behalf of my clients. Even if the vendor does not have a specific program, such as an MDF program, if you're creative enough and can lay out a great story, you may convince them to help you defray the cost of that event. I've done it more often than not, and some vendors are looking for an event like this to really be the catalyst for an MDF, a more structured MDF program. So if you're not taking the lead on your vendor relationships and ask them, what is it that you can do for me that I'm not aware of? That is taking the lead and pushing. And sometimes you'll find things that, hey, maybe they don't offer everyone else. Maybe they'll do it just for you. Or, you know what, nobody's asked for this in a while, and it's not really on anything we promote, but we can do this, right? So it's that really close relationship with your vendors that I'd like partners to cultivate, and to be seen as that go-to partner that really, remember, the more touches that we make with our vendors, just like with prospects, the more opportunity we have to do business together with them and to be seen as, a credible resource to partner with or maybe strengthen relationships with. So the tip of the week is simply that. Take the lead on these vendor relationships. Have regular calls with them. Maybe once a month is too often for some of us, but maybe once a quarter for sure. Take the lead and check in with the vendors and be visible and be seen. And guess what? Those partners that are visible and seen typically also get the leads.
It's absolutely true. And I mean, an important thing to point out is you will not be regarded as a pain in the neck for asking that question every now and again. You will be regarded as somebody who wants to engage, wants to get closer, wants to take advantage of what's out there. Your account rep at this vendor will actually be glad to hear you ask the question, what can you guys do for me? Because they probably have some programs or resources or something that are underutilized that they would love to get you signed up for. And just your interest in that, the interest that you make visible by asking about what resources are out there will be appreciated.
Right. And I completely believe the statistics that when partners engage with Ingram for this type of assistance, they increase, the value of each sale by at least 25%. I mean, think about it. If you're adding financing to every opportunity and you're engaging with Ingram for MDF and solution architecture, you're elevating your perception in your clients and prospects' mind of, wow, this is somebody that gets things done, that has connections, that really deals with top level resources. And I love the fact that Ingram will wear your shirt for you on these calls. I mean, what more could you ask?
Exactly. But like you said, don't ask, don't get. So you got to go out and you got to ask the question.
Yep.
Now we have got time for one more story this week, and you and I are frequent flyers, so we have a tendency to lean towards travel-related stories in this segment here. And once again, we're going to do it for you one more time. This concerns a story you may have seen this week about a flight from Manchester in the UK to Pakistan. When you gotta go, you gotta go, but there are times when that urge can be taken a little bit too far. And this concerns a flight in which somebody who really needed to go to the bathroom mistook the door to the plane, the door out into the world, for the door to the bathroom, and was in the process of trying to open up the hatch when somebody pulled them aside, basically. Or actually, I take it back. The door did open and the exit slide deployed. Thankfully, the plane was on the ground. Read the signage, people, and slow down a little bit. Maybe you go to the bathroom a little earlier than you would have otherwise, so you're not quite as desperate for a door.
I think that person in that story felt they had an emergency, and that's the only word they read on the emergency exit sign.
That's a good point. That's probably exactly what happened.
Fantastic. Gotta love these travel stories, Rich. Keep them coming.
Well, that is all the time we've got this week for you on the 5-Minute Roundup. Thank you very much for joining us. If you like the show, you'd like to see some future episodes, maybe take a look at some past ones that you missed, what you want to go do is subscribe to the ChannelPro Network channel on YouTube, and you will get all that information there. To read the story that we've been talking about on the resources from Ingram that you should know about, maybe you aren't taking advantage of, to read all sorts of other news coverage and business growth information, go to channelpronetwork.com. On a daily basis, we've got great news stories going up for you every day. To learn more about Erick and the services that he provides to his clients, the place to go is www.ericksimpson.com. That is ERICK Simpson.com. We will be back next week with another episode of the 5-Minute Roundup. And in fact, Erick and I are both going to be attending Datto's annual DattoCon conference. I have a hunch we will be in the same room for that episode once more. Until then, please enjoy the rest of your week. Erick and I are enjoying the rest of your week already.